Hello everyone and welcome back. Let me start by saying that I've been dead with a cold and running long hours. But in the last video I posted, I talked a little bit about the John Deere transmission on the planter and the 6-inch spacing and blah 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 blah, which made absolutely no sense. So didn't make no sense to me when I watched it, so I'm assuming it's not gonna make any sense to you guys when you watch it, because tired and sick and just rambling's what I was doing. But what I'm gonna do is explain to you the planter transmission on this little planter. It's the same as the big 7,000 series planter, John Deere planters, with one exception. It doesn't have a plate on it, but we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, a couple things you got to know when you're doing seed population on these planters. A couple things you got to know, a couple things you got to have. A lot of times seed will recommend, I don't know, 30,000 seed per acre. How do you get that? Okay, well, on these planters you have different sprocket settings to change your population. Okay, you have on this particular one, get down here, you have 5 gear excuse me, 5 sprockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down there on the bottom, you got 5. Now, here's the thing. You need to know what tooth these are. What size sprockets these are. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. Why. And you got to know which one is the driven and which one's the driver. Okay, it's very simple. The driver is the one that is, in this case, it's on the bottom. It is the one that's going to drive the other one. In other words, it's the sprocket off the wheel that's going to turn the meters. Okay? So driver on the bottom, driven on top. And this is the same as 7100 as far as the sprocket numbers. Now what I done, I counted my sprockets and I wrote them down right there. Okay? Ignore that 5. But I wrote them down there, and I wrote them down up here. Just took a Sharpie and wrote them down. All right. So my top, or my driven, is 22, 26, 14, 28, and 18. That's the same as any 7,000 series planter. On the bottom, going from left to right, from our point of view, it's 16, 30, 14, 26, 22. That is opposite of what it is on the big one that I have dealt with. Flipped around, it would be 22, 26, 14, 30, 16. That doesn't matter, okay? It does not make any difference. You could, if you really wanted to, you could flip it around and make it that way, but that's no big deal. So, we know what tooth our sprocket is, okay? So, on these bigger planters, you got spacers in between these sprocket sets. These two will be together, these two will be together, and you slide them back and forth, and you can do that with this. See, you got these little clips right here. You can slide the whole gears back and forth. Here's a clip. And you both top and bottom, get them to match up. Okay, so what does those sprockets mean? Well, here's something you need. And ideally, if you have a 7,000 series planter manual, this is in it. You can get them on eBay, they're cheap, whatever. But I've seen a lot of people print them off. You can also find them online. You can print them off and laminate them and tape them to the inside of this box lid. And then you always have it. You got your sprocket numbers, you got your seed chart, and you can make adjustments on the fly. Now, did I have that? No. I knew what setting I wanted it on yesterday. Just couldn't explain to you how I got to that, but I'm gonna explain that to you now. All right, so what we got here, we got, and I don't know whether you guys can see this or not, but like I said, you can print this offline. This is 30 rows, 30-inch rows, 36, 38, and 40, okay? And it'll give you your approximate population per acre, right down through here. And so, if we want 30,200, okay? So we'll come over, that's gonna give us 7-inch spacing in the furrow. And we want our driver sprocket to be 30 and our driven to be 26. Okay? So we want on 30 and 26. All right, so our driver needs to be 30. So we look on our handy dandy chart here. So that's the second gear over, which is where it's at. And on the top, 26. So that should be 30,200 seed per acre. So let's look at something else. So if we wanted to say, we want 35,600. So we come over here to our driver, is 30 and 22. So our driver needs to be 30 and our driven needs to be 22. So we're on our 30 down there, but our 22 is this one right here, okay? So that's when we loosen these little side clamps, slide this gear cluster over that way, or possibly slide, you know, we may have to slide this one over some and the bottom one over that way, and then we'll line that 30 gear up with this 22. So that gives you what you're after. Basically, you can, on a 30-inch spacing, go from 13,100 seed per acre in increments of about 1,000, roughly, all the way up to 56,100 seed per acre. This chart also shows you recommended speed. More seed you're putting out, the slower they want you to go. It seeds better. It gives you the in-row spacing, okay? Now, this is important to me because if I'm growing sweet corn at 9 inches and I'm getting a lot of double ears and stuff, maybe I can tighten it down. So maybe I don't want to go, you know, maybe I just want to go 1 inch. So I'd change my settings over here and, you know, go from there. I am not a planter expert, okay? It's one of those things. A lot of times people get, you know, how many seed to an acre? Well, your seed companies will recommend it sometimes. Another time, you know, what we're trying to do with planting corn is get as much yield as we possibly can without wasting seed, in a nutshell. But that's a little bit about the transmission. I hope that clears it up. I hope that's a whole lot more understandable than the last video was about it. I knew I was on this setting right here, which is around 25,000 to an acre. It's that is 28 and 26 on the bottom was where I was running. So my driver is, I think it's like 24,000. 28, 26. Now, be sure you keep up with the driver and driven, because I read the top one first, but it's flip-flopped on my chart here. So, but I'll probably laminate that and tape it to the inside of that lid. On your big planters, you'll have a chart that lays out the driven and the driver, and then you just look at your manual for your seed rate. I have seen these smaller ones where they'll put the factory John Deere plate on there that gives you sprocket sizes. But and you know, like I said, to change it, all you got to do is release the tension right here, and then slide it over, put the chain on whichever one you want, and go from there. But pretty neat how it works. That's I don't run these incredibly tight. The top one's tight, but the bottom one's floating a little. That way it can find its home. If I've got the chain a little out of alignment and I lock it down, it may run it off. So I'll leave a little play in it so it can kind of center itself. But that's I hope that, I've had several people ask about that. So so what you need to know is the number of teeth on your sprocket, both your driven and your driver, and then you need your handy dandy chart. And if you count them, might as well write them down. But it's that's what we're dealing with, and I wrote it in 2 places. Just took a Sharpie, wrote it down. Been meaning to do that. But like I said, I knew which one I was going to yesterday. I could not explain to it. Of course, it might have been all the over-the-counter cold medicine I've taken. But that's pretty much how it works. If you do recommend you still check it with a measuring tape, because you know, the tire can be flat or something and it can throw it off a little. Just check it with a measuring tape. That makes a world of difference. So anyhow, I hope that explains it to you in a way that's understandable. Maybe when I watch this, I can understand it. I couldn't the last time. But anyhow, if you like what we're doing, you want to follow along, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you'll know when we put up a video. If you have a question or a comment, please do so. If see a video you like, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching. And like I said, hope you enjoyed that. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.